Welcome to the Piqua City School Board of Education's meeting for November 16, 2017. Would everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the treasurer call the roll, please?
Mr. Luby.
Here.
Mr. Gregerson.
Here.
Mr. Bostic.
Here.
Mr. Height.
Here.
Mr. Patrizio.
Here. We came out of executive session. So I have a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have the minutes of October 19, 2017, which were previously distributed. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Does anybody have any changes? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. And then the next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or subtractions to the agenda?
No.
I'll just say that there was an addition of the approval of using the alternate tax budget that we did earlier this morning. The county auditor's office asked we would be able to switch that for them to a November, December instead of December, January. So I added that this morning, changed it.
With that addition, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The next thing we have is board reports, and Mr. Luby, Mr. Height.
Ours is easy. We don't meet until next Monday.
That makes it real easy then. On November 12th, the board met in Columbus, and we have an annual meeting over there where we discuss long-term and short-term goals of the schools. We also had the new members of the Board of Education that will be coming on in January that attended, along with curriculum and principal, or vice principal, and superintendent and treasurer. The meeting was very productive and successful, and I appreciate Kelly for coming on. Kelly's our new board member. She's here tonight, along with Sean Ford. Sean Ford is not, but will be coming aboard in January also, and we welcome both of them aboard, or welcome those to our board. The next item on our agenda is hearing of the public agenda items. I do not have any requests to address the board, so we'll move on to the treasurer's agenda.
All the October financial reports were in the packet. Does anyone have any questions about any of those?
No.
The only other thing that I have on my agenda this evening is just to approve the alternate tax budget for fiscal year 2019. This is something that we do annually. We file the tax budget, and it basically just outlines our balances that we have and what we think we're going to be spending next year, which is a whole year from now, and then what those balances end up being. It helps the auditor make sure that they're collecting the right amount of millage, specifically dealing with debt services, where it becomes vitally important to make sure that we have enough money to pay the debt owed out on our buildings.
Very good. May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's agenda along with the alternative tax budget?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the treasurer call the roll, please?
Mr. Patrizio.
Yes.
Mr. Bostic.
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Moving on, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to invite our principal from the Piqua Junior High School, where we are hosting tonight's meeting, to discuss some of the academic progress they're making. So, Mr. Clark, would you share with us some great things? And Mr. Albers, I see, is getting up, so I'll introduce him as well.
Great, thank you. Welcome, good evening. I feel like it's really exciting to me because the consistency I feel like that we have between all the buildings with our focus this year, that's a great thing, but I'm afraid it starts to feel a little redundant. So hopefully we'll be able to bring some new information to you tonight, but also support the things that we're doing in all of our buildings. We're going to talk to you tonight about a couple different things. Number one, our focus on Tier 1 instruction at Piqua Junior High School. I'm going to talk about that, and then Mr. Albers is going to step up and talk about our PBIS initiatives here at Piqua Junior High School. So I want to walk you through that, just kind of walk you through what our process has been this year with Tier 1 instruction. started right out of the gate doing goal setting. We're not gonna hit those charts yet, so I'll let you know when we switch to that. Started our process this year by meeting with each of our individual teachers and doing goal setting and really having focused, targeted goals around good, solid Tier 1 instruction. So every teacher in our building has goals that they set with us collaboratively, focused on basic Tier 1 instruction and how to really cement doing that in a very, very solid way. And we continue to review those goals and progress monitor that through the evaluation system, so that's been going very well. We were able to recruit Scott Bloom to come over and do some very high-quality professional development with all of our content areas. All of our departments spent a full day with Scott early in the year talking about Tier 1 instruction and what we could do. We talked about everything from differentiation to technology resources to depth of knowledge type questions. And so we really wanted to lay some groundwork early in the year with Scott that they could take right into their classroom, and they really have done that. So that's been very good for us as well. The district provided some great professional development for all of our teachers by bringing Pat Quinn in to do some professional development around differentiation, which is a big part of good, solid Tier 1 instruction. And we've seen teachers really implementing the strategies that he brought us, so we're excited about that as well. We'll move into our data collection tool that we're going to share with you a little bit of our data from Piqua Junior High School so far this year. As a district, we put together a data collection tool to really progress monitor what we're doing in the classroom in terms of Tier 1 instruction. So I just want to show you briefly what our data looks like, and this is what we're looking at on a monthly basis with our building leadership team here at Piqua Junior High School. Looking for strengths, weaknesses, trends, things we can improve, things we're doing really well. So the first thing we look at, Chad and I, and actually our building leadership team, just this month is starting to go in and do some of these data collections in classrooms as well. We walk in and do a walkthrough. It's anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. And we're in the classroom looking for these things. First thing we look for is are the learning objectives posted, and can students clarify those objectives? That's something that's actually changed from the beginning of the school year. As a district, we looked at that, and we want to be able to walk into a classroom and ask students, what are you learning today? And we want them to have a solid enough understanding of what the focus for their learning is that they can communicate that to us when we go in. That wasn't there at the beginning of the year. So we are making assessments on do we see it visually posted? Do we hear it verbally from either the teacher or the students? Do we have both, or do we not see it? So you can see our data so far from Piqua Junior High School. That's something that has been pretty solid for us. Some of that depends on when you walk through a class, whether or not you hear the verbal communication of the objective. So that's that. We move on. Does high-level questioning occur? I will say when we left the training with Scott, our teachers really had a solid understanding of, do we really ask high-level questions? Scott did a good job of really, I guess, getting the point across that just because a question's hard, just because a science question can be really hard, it still might just be a what question. It's something I can go find pretty easily, so it's not a high-level question. Really changed our perspective about what high-level questioning really is. So we've been pretty critical with that and really trying to identify, are they really, truly high-level questions? So that's our data so far this year. Is the teacher actively facilitating the student learning? We would hope that would be even higher than it is there, but are they actively working with students, whether it's up in front of the whole class, whether it's working in a small group or one-on-one with another student? The other thing we look for is what the kids are doing, what the teaching strategy is it linked back to that focus for learning? So does it match the rigor that the objective says that we need to be doing? So our teachers are doing an awesome job with that. And then this was the one that after Pat Quinn did his training with our entire district, our teachers really took that to heart. And a lot of what he talks about is how you can group kids to be able to differentiate your instruction with them. And one of our BLT meetings that we had right after our training, our BLT felt really more equipped to go and do those kind of things. Now we're seeing more and more of that in our classes since that training. It's always good when you have professional development and you see improvements come out of that, right? Really the day after. So we're seeing that, so we're excited about that. And then are we utilizing formative assessment to know where kids are? this looks a lot of different ways when we're walking through. Some people are doing kind of the thumbs up, thumbs down. We're using online tools, things like Kahoot, where students can express what their understanding is of the content, and teachers get immediate feedback on what kids know and don't know. And our teachers have done a good job with that. I think that's the last one. Chad's going to step up and talk about PBIS, and he'll get into the charts that I'm going to show you next.
Jeff, before you leave, could you explain for our viewers, when you talk about Tier 1, what does that mean so people watching understand what that
Tier 1
is?
is your general instruction for all students. So what level of instruction are you providing to your entire student population? When you go into Tiers 2 and Tier 3, that's where you're starting to identify students who maybe aren't getting the content at Tier 1, so you're starting to provide intervention type services in Tier 2 and Tier 3 typically is more of a one-on-one. So this is whole group, what we're doing for our entire student population.
Thanks, that way people know what you're talking about.
Good evening. I just want to talk about PBIS, which stands for Positively Based Interventions and Supports. And it's a district-wide initiative, but it can look different for every building. And the way that we apply it to our building, I first want to talk about minute one, day one. And rather than delving into the textbooks in our classrooms or the lessons for that day, our teachers rolled out the PBIS initiative. Our social studies group, our language arts group, everybody divided up and taught a specific concept that was related to our initiatives in our building. And that also involved modeling the expected outcomes that we wanted our students to show. We have Indian cards that we used. We talk about kids get these Indian cards that you all have an example of it in front of you on the desk. Each of those cards are handed out to students who show respect, responsibility, or kindness. They're displaying those attributes at some level, and every teacher has access to those cards and will hand that to a student. Those students then take those cards and hand it to their 7th period advisory teachers, and they're placed into drawings that are weekly, monthly, quarterly, and end-of-year drawings, and they get prizes during that 7th period drawing. It's kind of an exciting thing for the kids, and you can only be in that drawing if you've displayed one of those qualities that for respect, responsibility, and kindness. We use our public school works data that you can see on the chart on our board, and those incident reports are not just referrals. Those are demerit-based incident reports, and our demerit system is our policy or practice that we use to chart discipline and incidents at Piqua Junior High. As you can see, that chart's going down as we progress through the year, which we feel is a positive sign that what we're trying to do at Piqua Junior High with PBIS is effective. And during our team meetings, we also talk about this data. We can narrow it down to time of day, as you can see up on the board. And when we have our team meetings, our building level meetings, our building leadership meetings, we can talk about reasons why we see spikes in the afternoon. And we can try to target some interventions to try to meet the demands or meet those behavioral concerns that we have as a staff. And if we go to our next slide, that right there, the names are blocked out, but every one of those bars on that chart represents a student and the number of referrals that they have. So almost every team meeting that we go to, building level team meeting, building leadership meetings that we go to, we discuss kids by name. And it's a powerful thing when you're discussing a specific student, talking about them by name and what we can do to meet that particular student's needs. And that's something that we're doing by team, by building leadership teams on a daily basis at Piqua Junior High, and I think it's a great thing in terms of meeting the needs of each student. So just wanted to discuss a few things that we do with that. 7th and 8th grade. That's an interesting statistic, that's our last chart that we have up there. 7th grade's typically higher, and then 8th grade it dwindles off. Again, I think that's just because we lay out those expectations when they come into the 7th grade. It's a new atmosphere for those 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, or those 6th graders that are coming in. Different expectations, I think, at this level, something that they're not familiar with. And as you noticed on some of those other bar graphs, it started out high and they start to dwindle off. Well, I think that this chart up here shows that same trend. So, thank you.
One of the things with our recognition cards that we use for students when they're displaying respect, responsibility, and kindness, after our first full month, we went back and did some quick calculations to see where were we with those positive interactions with kids versus our what would be perceived as negative interactions with kids in discipline. And we were at a 6, actually more than 6 to 1 positives to negatives, our ratio. So we were really excited about the fact that we were way more often we were interacting with kids in a positive way about how they were doing and how they were responding to the expectations we set forth. So we were excited about that. That wasn't those positive referral cards or those positive interactions with the cards were something we had not done before this year, and it really has given us a focus and a target to really have those positive interactions with kids. Any questions?
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you. I just would point out, too, that Mr. Clark was indicating that we're all on the same page. So one of the things that we do at our district-wide administrative team meetings is each building will bring their data, and we look at how we can calibrate our work. So as we start looking at how the junior high school, for example, is looking and monitoring for those specific goals that you saw up there with the pie charts, each building will look at how they evaluate that, so we can make sure everybody's looking at those skills and looking for those same exact traits in our teachers district-wide, so we've got the same work happening with our students, so it's consistent. So it's been a real plus for us to have those conversations, and then our curriculum and our director of student services, our director of special education can get out there and do that embedded professional development, working with principals and our teachers, and really makes an impact on some of that work. So it's been really good to see, and I appreciate the work that they've all put together for that. Next is our levy. Just a huge thank you to our citizens, our voters, for supporting that. We had a near 66% passage rate. That shows trust in our work, and we don't take that for granted. We're very appreciative to the community for what they've done. This means that we can continue the great programs and momentum we've had without any additional tax dollars from our citizens, and we just really appreciate that, and we'll continue to do our best to be great stewards and to operate within our budget and our means. I too would like to congratulate Sean Ford and Kelly McMacken for their election into the school board. We have 2 school board members that will be retiring, so we have 2 new ones that we're welcoming on, and we feel like they're going to be great voices, and they're definitely kid-friendly, kid advocates, and that's what we need, and we're excited about having that collaboration on our new board here. I would like to now introduce Ron Diver, who is our Southwest Regional Manager of the Ohio School Boards Association, and he is here tonight to recognize one of our board members for some great accomplishments. Mr. Diver, would you please come up to the microphone there and tell us why you're here?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing me to come tonight. This is for a special occasion, and I had a couple questions just a little while ago, but, so what is the Southwest region? And I'll give you a little information about it because the gentleman that's going to be receiving some recognition tonight is part of it. The Southwest region of the Ohio School Boards Association, which I'm the region manager, consists of 17 counties in southwestern Ohio. And you start down Adams County near the Appalachian area and come straight on up to Logan County, Bell Fountain area, and then everything over to the Indiana border. That's 159 school districts, 17 counties, so it's a huge area. And we work and coordinate with the OSBA from the regional point of view to the people up in Columbus. We have an executive committee, and it consists of at least one person from every county in the Southwest region. And the gentleman we're going to be talking about tonight is the representative from Miami County. We started a few years ago what we call the Al Kettlewell Award. The Al Kettlewell Award is named after the gentleman that was the region manager before me. and he was the region manager for 26 years, and I served under him as the region executive committee member. I was on my local board for 28 years, and back in 2000, why he said, I'm retiring. And so when he retired, he said, Ron, I'm going to recommend you to take over my job. So I said, well, that's kind of humbling. And so OSBA hired me on, I had to go off my board because there's conflict of interest to continue on. On March the 20th, I left my Carlisle board, and on March 21st, I was working for the Ohio School Boards Association. And Al Kettlewell, who has passed on now, really promoted outstanding board member leadership. And in the state of Ohio, there's usually 2, 3, 4 individuals who are nominated to as an outstanding leader in their community. There's 5 regions in the state, so 3 or 4. There's about a total of 15 usually about every year. And we were honored this year to have 4 individuals representing our Southwest region. And one of the gentlemen was Mr. Bob Luby. There's not too much that I can tell you about him that you all don't already know. But I wanted to come tonight. It's too important not for him not to get some kind of recognition. Our plan was to have him introduced and presented the award back in October when we had our fall conference. However, Mr. Luby, being involved with Piqua, had a tough choice to make, and that was whether to be around for the broadcasting of your football game, which I understand he's been doing for years and years and years, or to come to our fall conference. And I tried to make it easy on him. I said, Bob, your responsibility is to your people and to your community. You go there and I'll take care of the rest. So that's the reason why I'm here tonight. I'm taking care of the rest. Mr. Bob, would you please come forward, sir? Well,
I'll hold it for you. I knew he had a reason to get me up there.
well, I used to be an old football announcer too, but I usually stood up there in the press box, and I carried it around with me, so I guess I could carry this around. Anyhow, this award is from the Southwest Region Ohio School Boards Association, and we are proud to present the Al Kettlewell Award for outstanding school board leadership. It is presented to Robert Luby, Piqua City and Upper Valley Career Center. He along with, I think, Andy, is your representatives to the Upper Valley Career Center as well. And it says on this 12th day of October, which is not the 12th day of October today, but it's presented to Bob and signed by the president of our region, who is Mark Ewing. He is from the Batavia local school board and also Great Oaks Career Center. And it's also signed by yours truly. Thank you so very much. Now, we tried to keep him around, and my understanding is you all tried to keep him around as well, but he's pretty determined. So I just want to wish him the best.
I hope I do better than that mic.
Say just pop it out of there.
There we go. Anyhow, we're really sorry that he's leaving. Of course, we'll be inviting him back to our activities down in the region for all his service. He's been on the executive committee now for, I don't know, what, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. And we've really appreciated his input and his representation of Miami County. So anyhow, good luck to you.
Thank you, Ron. I just want to say a few words about Ron and the Southwest. I had an opportunity to join that, I was asked to join that organization. And I'll tell you, the group of people that I've been involved with during that 7-year period, just outstanding people who are focused on helping students and education in general in Ohio. And the work they do is amazing. Starting with this guy. He has his hand in everything. It has a lot of work to do, but I'll tell you, never heard him complain. He's organized. He pulls things together and makes that such an effective organization. So I've been honored and pleased to be a part of it. And Woody Hayes once wrote a book. I'm a big football fan. You probably all know that. One of the books he wrote was called "You Win with People." And essentially the book was about just what it says. You have to surround yourself with good people to be successful. And I've been a believer in that because I've worked with a lot of good people locally and at the Southwest, and I think it's made me a better educator. So Ron, thank you very much. I appreciate this. I'm honored, and it'll be with me always.
Okay. If you all don't mind, I've got over an hour drive back home, and I'm going to go before it gets midnight.
Mr. Diver, thank you for coming
Have a
here
great
this
meeting.
evening.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
All the people I've met.
Correct. Congratulations to you, Mr. Luby. And Mr. Luby and Mr. Gregerson's last official meetings will be this next December. So we'll be saying goodbye to you at that point.
Thank you.
Yes. Just wanted to mention that we had a great turnout of veterans in our buildings this last month. Our buildings invited veterans into the buildings to do things, everything from we had parades to letters, we had breakfast, we had lots of great events, and the turnout was amazing. We can't appreciate enough that they came and talked with our students and spent time with them. We had World War II all the way to Desert Storm and even currently serving veterans in our buildings, and it was one of the greatest things ever, and I'm still getting emails from family members and veterans thanking us for that opportunity, and I just really greatly appreciate that segment of our population coming and being a part of our schools. Yesterday, I found out from the Ohio Department of Education that we are one of a few school districts in the state that received the Momentum Award. The Momentum Award is based on the fact that we got straight A's in our value-added categories. Last year, we received 3 out of 4 A's and 1 B, and this year we received all A's, and that was in the category of all students, students with gifted abilities, students with IEPs, and students that are in the bottom 20% of performance. And to get an A by the state's definition means we exceeded the expectations from the state with student growth. If you get a C, that means you get 1 year's worth of growth out of the student. If you get an A, it's at least 2 standard deviations or higher, meaning, again, you exceeded that growth. So it's a great tribute to the work our staff and students did on that and the support that we get from their parents and the community. And I'm just super proud of how everybody pulled together on behalf of our students and that we got that recognition. So really just pleased and really proud of everybody and what they did for that. So I wanted to mention that. I want to highlight, and I've been communicating this out, that we do have a senior citizens breakfast coming up, and that will be on Saturday, December 2nd at Piqua Central Intermediate School. The doors are going to open at 7:30 a.m., and it's free for all Piqua City senior citizens. There are no tickets necessary. One of the highlights certainly will be that the show choir will perform at 9 a.m. in the morning. The menu is very good. We've never had any complaints on it, so we hope as many senior citizens possible that can come and enjoy that and kick off the holiday season and have a great time again with our students. Finally, our show choir premiere will be at Piqua High School this Saturday, November 18th at Piqua High School. It'll be at 8 p.m. Tickets are $5 for adults and $3 for students. It will kick off their season. You'll get to see their contest show for the first time. But what's really great is that whole day, our show choir high school students will spend time with elementary students, teaching them a couple of songs, and they'll get to perform those songs with the show choir students that evening to kick it off. And if you've not seen that, it's a great event. It's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to that. So that completes my report.
Very good. Congratulations to the district for the Momentum Award. That's something that everyone in the district should be proud of, from the staff, to the principals, to the maintenance, to the superintendent, to the curriculum directors, to Tony. It takes everybody to reach that, everybody's efforts to reach that kind of achievement, and I thank everybody who was involved in it. Also, Bob, I just want to also state on behalf of the board, congratulations on your award. I don't know how many years you've been with our district, but I'm guessing over 30-some.
Well, 33 actually employed, and then 12 on the board. And, hang around a little bit. I hung around, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the superintendent's agenda.
I'd like to recommend board approval of the attached overnight extended student trip for the Piqua High School varsity softball team. They do this trip every other year, going to Orlando and participating in some of the softball tournaments down there. And would like to recommend board approval for the attached list of donations. Would like to just spotlight that we do have a partnership with Coca-Cola. They have a significant donation there of $12,500. That's part of the contract that we have, which is a great way to help us fund some of the student programs that we have. Unity National Bank, which are great supporters, again, to our student activities, $2,243. French Oil, who is always great at supporting our science programs, our STEM-related activities, $500 to the Science Olympiad. Remax to our Blue Out, Main Street Piqua, and the Music Boosters, all provided some funds to the PHS Band, and Judy Mextroff donated some money to our athletic programs. So a special thank you to all of those entities, and again, we just can't do what we do without community support.
Very good.
Bob?
Yeah. On the softball trip, do the students have to provide any money for that from their own pocket?
They do fundraising for that. And that's why they do it every other year. They spend a lot of time making sure each of the kids have that opportunity.
Wouldn't want to see a student not able to go because they can't afford to go.
Correct, yep.
Okay, good.
Good question.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the superintendent's agenda.
So moved.
Have a second, please.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The agenda has been approved. Moving on to the assistant superintendent for the personnel agenda. Tony?
Relatively short agenda this evening, which is a good thing. Just wanted to highlight there, you see retirement resignation of Cheryl Jones. Cheryl's been a bus driver for us for several years, does an outstanding job, and I think Beth was able to convince her to, maybe she doesn't even know this yet, to still do some trips for us occasionally and be a sub when we need her. As you all know, there's a shortage of bus drivers, so it's nice to have her on board. So congratulations to her for her retirement. Also, see volunteers on there every month, and I just wanted to say a thank you to all the volunteers that come out into the buildings and help our students and our staff members. And if you want to be a volunteer, stop in the board office, we'll fingerprint you and get you approved. And then finally, classified positions are always available, whether it's subs or permanent positions. We currently have a permanent position available by way of one of our third shift custodian positions is open. And we are looking for bus drivers and food service workers currently. So if you're interested, you can contact me at the board office, and that's 773-4321. Outside of that, I recommend board approval of the personnel agenda as presented.
Does the board have any questions of Tony? Hearing none, I ask for the board, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Will the treasurer call the roll, please?
Mr. Bostic.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye. Moving on to old business, we have two board policy second reads. They're listed in the book. Does anybody have any questions on either of them?
I had a question on 9141, the Superintendent's Executive Advisory Council. In reading that, it says they are to meet with us 4 times a year, and then they'll make recommendations, but I don't think we've ever met.
Right.
Is this new, or?
It's new, it's just being put into place. It hasn't been enacted yet, so we're just, again, getting this enacted. So we currently have an executive advisory council. It's been put in place probably about 11 to 12 years, if I can remember correctly. It is local business men and women that are on there. We meet quarterly currently, and we discuss everything from school finances to some of the programming. This last time we met was about a week and a half ago. We had the high school counselors and principal come and talk about some of the programming that we can do with students to get them engaged in the community with some of the manufacturing jobs that we might have available. So they're very instrumental in our work. We value them immensely, and it's just now trying to make that connection. So you might remember the governor had that initiative where he wanted 3 new board members added to Board of Education's. Not as voting members, but as advisory types of things. And that bill died, it went away. But as a result of that, he felt it was still important that business was making connections with boards. So when this gets into place, not only will they make connections with that, and it might be that we just have a board member be a representative on that committee, we also are required to report to the state of Ohio our meetings with our agendas, what we're talking about, the outcomes of them, so.
I saw by March 1st, I think it is.
Correct, yep. We have the option of doing our own. We also have the option of working through the Miami County ESC, which some of the school districts have chosen to do. There will be an advisory committee put together countywide that will work with those schools and do different things. But we have a great committee that I'm real pleased with, so we're all taken care of. It's just a matter of complying with the new outline as soon as we get this put in place, and it becomes required after the first of the year.
Any other questions? That will be a second reading. We have nothing under new business, and I don't have any notices that there's a hearing of public non-agenda items. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the band, the Piqua band. They had a very successful event in Indiana.
Absolutely.
you wanna expound on it.
They were 11th out of 30 bands in their class. This is nationwide. Not only that, they were the #1 out of all the Ohio State bands that went over there to compete. And the comments they got from the judges were very, very good. They loved what our band did in terms of the perspective of how they told the Scarecrow's story from The Wizard of Oz. They thought their music was outstanding, and their final comments indicated they can't wait to see this band come back next year and perform because they like their show that much. And I want to point out that out of 100 members, 25 of those members are 7th and 8th grade students that are performing in our marching band. They start band in 6th grade. So the fact that they performed nationally, out of 100 bands get chosen to go to this, is I'm just beyond proud for that. In fact, I shared an email with you guys today, a place from Oklahoma that reached out because one of our students filmed their band, and he put comments to it in the background unintentionally, but they're reaching out and going back and forth now, which has been very heartwarming to see. So I think our band has great momentum, and they're just doing fantastic.
They were very good this year.
It was a great show.
Also, I would like to take an opportunity to congratulate any student who made honor roll or second honors or things of that nature. The first quarter ended. That is our purpose here, and for those students who have achieved at high levels, congratulations. With that, does anybody else have any comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?